In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a set of plans that you can build from a SketchUp model. So what I have here is I have a model that I've designed in another video. This is a cabin that I plan to build in the woods. But what I don't have here, you have to start with the model. A model is where you start in SketchUp, and a model allows you to visualize what you're going to build. It allows you to see how everything is put together. So this 3D model is extremely important. The problem is, though, is that you can't necessarily go off and build from this 3D model. If you wanted to build from this without creating plans first, then what you would have to do is you'd have to have a laptop with you, and every single time you go to cut a piece of wood, you'd have to take out the measuring tool and measure all of the little pieces, and it would just be very time consuming. So instead, what we want to do is we want to take the model and turn it into plans. We want to turn it into something that we can print out, that we can take with us and make it a lot easier to do our work. The first step in doing that is, which is something that I've already done as I was making the model, is to group things according to their tags. Okay, so I'm still going to have to add some more tags. I'm going to add some tags for the measurements, but if you've watched any of my other videos, the tags in SketchUp is a way of just grouping a bunch of different components or a bunch of different shapes together. And normally what I'm doing is I'm grouping them based on where they fall in the model, what the purpose is. So for instance, we've got framing, the back of the house framing, the side of the house framing, the other side of the house framing, the roof framing, the sheathing, and then I'm also going to have measurement tags for all of these. And I've got these already created. I created them when I was creating the model because they're really important, an important tool to manipulate the model while you're even working on it. Not just for creating plans, but while you're working on it. For instance, when I was working on the interior here, this wall is kind of in the way. It's hard for me to work on the interior with the wall in the way. But since I've got this all grouped, I can go ahead and turn off the sheathing on the right side. I can click on the little eyeball and turn off the sheathing, and then I can turn off the framing on the right side, and now I have access to the inside. And if I wanted to turn off the framing on the roof and the sheathing on the roof, then now I've got access to the inside where I can start to manipulate things. I didn't have to hide anything. Like when I say hide, I mean technically it is hidden, but there is this feature where you right click, you right click on something and you can say hide right here, and then you can unhide, but that's kind of a kludgy way to do it because you can't selectively unhide, or it's not easy to work with. Whereas with the layers or the tags, it used to be called layers, now it's called tag. With those, it's really easy just to click the little eyeball and make them visible and invisible. Okay, so tags are an important part of turning this model into a set of plans, but then there's also scenes. Scenes are going to be utilized. We're going to be creating those. We haven't created any scenes yet because we haven't had the need to. That's not something that I use while I'm creating a model. It's something that I use to view a model later on, especially when I'm trying to create plans, but there's no benefit to creating those while you're actually building the model out. So I don't have any of those yet. Now, I am going to want to go ahead and try to create as many of the tags as I can before I start creating scenes, because SketchUp has this kind of a little weird thing where if you create a scene and then you create a new tag, that new tag will automatically be visible in your scenes that you've already created. And so that can, so you'd create a new tag for measurements, and then all of a sudden you'd start getting these measurements showing up places that you don't necessarily want to. So that's not that big of a deal to fix. You just have to go through all your scenes and reselect all your tags, but it is kind of a pain. So what I'm going to do is the very first thing, even though they're not being utilized yet, is I'm going to go ahead and create measurement tags for all of these different tags. So that way I can control the left wall framing independent of the left wall measurements. And you'll see why that's important. Like there's going to be times that I want to see the left wall framing. I want to see the entire house framed out, but I don't want the measurements on there. Or maybe I only just want a few select measurements on there. So I want to be able to control those independently. And how I'm going to do that is with independent tags. So let's go ahead and create those. All right, so framing. How do you spell measurement? All right, you gotta. One thing I cannot teach you to do is to spell. All right, so framing measurement. Let me go ahead and cut and paste that, so that I can just copy that over and over. And then what do I got? I got one for the back Let me add a new one. Okay, so I've gone through and I've created a new tag that's going to hold the measurements that corresponds with all of my existing tags. Okay, so I essentially doubled the number of tags that I had. So if I had a sheathing left wall, now I have a sheathing measurements left wall, and so on and so forth. So I know I've probably forgotten some of these. I've definitely captured all of them that I have right now, but if I have to go and create another tag later on, it's not the end of the world. I just have to know that I'm gonna have to go and clean up some of the scenes later on. I'll describe what a scene is here in a second. All right, so I've got all of my tags set up, and now let's go ahead and create the first scene. So we're gonna basically just work our way around the house. We're gonna set up a scene, and then we're gonna draw our measurements on the house. So first thing I wanna do is I wanna decide where I'm gonna start. So let's just go ahead and start on the back of the house. And I always like to start with just the framing, and then I'll add the sheathing on later on. And so the first thing I wanna do is go up to the camera standard views. And now it says top, bottom, front, back, left, right. Those don't necessarily, they don't really know what the front of the house is. I may have not drawn it in the correct orientation for what it thinks the front is. And so you can't just always assume that that's going to be accurate. You can't assume that the front is going to be the front of the house. But let's just go ahead and look to see if I select on front. Let's see. All right, so it is actually going to show me the front of the house. So I happen to guess it right here. All right, so I'm lining up the front of the house. Now, one thing you'll notice, and so this is automatically put the camera in an orientation where it's looking directly at the front of the house. But one of the problems that I see here is that perspective is turned on. So this looks like how I would look at the house if I was in real life, if the house was in front of me. But with plans, you don't necessarily want to look at it with perspective. You want everything to be completely flat so that plans don't necessarily look like it would look in real life. Everything is flat. So if I go up into this camera mode, you can see here it's the check mark is next to perspective. If I click on parallel projection, suddenly that flattens it out. There's no more, I can no longer see the sides of any of the 2x4s because they're farther away. I could see, if in real life, the farther to the right, the more the one side I would see, or the farther to the left, I would only be able to not see the sides if it was directly in front of me. Well, that is applied across this entire model. All right, so now we want to do the framing, right? So the first scene is going to be just the framing, the front framing. So let me go ahead and turn off everything, basically. Framing except for the framing front. So I'm clicking on all the little eyeballs to turn off everything, all the different views. Okay. I can see right here, I've got these little 4x4s that are down here that are supposed to be part of the deck framing. So I accidentally, when I made the model, I didn't include them in the deck framing. So let me just go ahead and click on these things now. I'm gonna hold my shift key so I can click on all of them. And I'm gonna move those to the framing deck. All right, just to get rid of them. Okay, so, oh, look at that. I see that I've got my wood planks in here too. These are on the wrong layer. These are on untagged layer. Now I could move the model to see those and eliminate those move them to the proper layer or proper tag. But I don't want to do that yet because I've already taken some time to lay out how I want this, the parallel projection, getting it on the front. If I start to move my angle, then I'm gonna have to do that over again. I can easily go and remove those and put those on a different layer here soon enough. All right, so even though I'm only going to be focusing on the framing, the wall looks kind of weird hanging out here by itself. So usually when I do the wall shots, I do also turn on the sheathing for the floor and then the framing for the floor. All right, so now I have the right layers turned on. I have the fact that it's flat. And when layers, I have the right tag, which is just the framing and the floor. I have it that it's flat. The parallel projection is on. I'm looking at it in the right orientation. When you do the measurements for your walls, you always want to do it from the outside looking in. And so, the other thing that I wanted to go ahead and change here is the style. The style is, it's got a blue sky. It's nice for when you're trying to look at it and get a somewhat of an idea of what it looks like in real life. But this is, I don't want to, when I print the plans, I definitely don't want a blue background. I don't want, I want it to be, look like a drawing, right? So, so I go into the style section and I click on, there's a construction document style. And let me go ahead and, so that's that. I don't know about this yellow floor here. I don't want to move the model because I don't want to have to redo this. So let me just go ahead and create a scene. And so what a scene is going to do is it's going to capture basically what you're seeing on the screen. So it's going to capture what layers are turned on, what the style is, what the orientation is, all this stuff. It's just basically capturing so that you can come back to this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the little plus sign above scene. And then if I scroll down, I can see here, I'm going to say one framing front. Okay. So now, just to give you an idea of how this works is, oh, that's this blue ground is the thing that I added. So let's go ahead and put that on the, I'm just going to put that on the interior cabinets now. Now I don't like that these ground pieces are separate. So I put these on the floor layer, but I honestly don't want them to show up in the drawing every time I show the subfloor. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in a new tag. So I'm gonna create a new tag. So as I said, I'm gonna forget one of them, I'm sure, that I'm gonna wanna put these on. So let's see, let's call this foundation. So tags, I'm gonna create a new one. I'm gonna call it framing, and then foundation. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and add all of this, all of these pieces onto that layer. Foundation. I'm going to come back to this view, the scene that I already saved, and I can turn off the framing foundation, and now this is a lot more like what I want to see. One thing I'm noticing as well, though, is the axes are on. So you've got this red line and this blue line. So I want to go ahead and turn that off. I'm going to go ahead and turn off guides as well. We don't have any guides on there. That would be if I drew a little dotted line, a little measurement guide. Those would disappear. I normally clean those up, so I don't normally have to turn that layer off, but it's always nice to still have it off. I can still see that I have these little loft boards in here that I need to clean up, but this is starting to look much more like a set of plan page. All right, I'm going to resave the scene because I went ahead and changed some things. I turned off the axes and guides and a couple other things. All right, so I'm gonna hit this little refresh button. It's asking me, hey, what do you want to save as part of that? It's always everything. I want to save. I want it to look just like what I have it here. So I hit update, and then let's get rid of these boards. Let's make a new tag called flooring. Loft decking, how about that? Loft decking. It doesn't really fit in there. It's kind of like the odd man out, but if we decide to do something else with it later on, we can do something else with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and select all these pieces, move those to the loft decking. And then go back to my view or scene, turn off loft decking. Okay, now we are about done. So let me refresh this, because I turned off that layer, that tag, turn off that tag. All right, now it's time to add in our measurements. So for the measurements, what I typically do is I try to capture, the measurements are kind of tricky in that you might be inclined to put a measurement for every single board out there. And if you put a measurement on every single board, you will have more measurements on your paper than you have boards. And it can just become a little overwhelming. So you wanna select and choose which measurements to put on there. What we've done, what I've kind of settled on, is along the bottom, I put the overall width, the overall size of the item, and then I will put the measurements that are my studs that are 24 inches on center. or 16 inches on center. I will put those across the bottom. And then across the top, I will put the spacing of the individual windows, any kind of openings that we have. Now on this one, we have overlapping openings. So this window down below overlaps this one. So I'll probably do one set of measurements just for these top 3 windows, and then another set of measurements for these two pieces here. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first off, go to my framing. I want to select the tag. I want to put the little pencil so that when I start creating these measurements, they're going on the right tag. So we got framing measurements front. So that's going to get turned on. Let me go back. Let me go back to this. Turn on framing measurements front, refresh the scene, save it, put my little pencil. Why is my little pencil not working over here? So annoying. It's like it's like, could they make it? I know I said this already somewhere else, but they hide this little ability that you can put the pencil over here. This whole dashes section is so big. I don't do anything with dashes, but I use the pencil all the time. Like, why would you make this? I can't even resize this. So anyways, you gotta know the secret handshake to be able to do this. You gotta put the little pencil over here. All right, so then I'm gonna take my measurement tool, and measurements, if you start putting measurements directly on this flat view, the measurements will show up all over the place. It will snap to weird places. So do not do it when you're looking at a flat. We're gonna go back to a flat look, but what you wanna do is you wanna put it at an angle so that you can control exactly where you're clicking, where you're selecting it. So we're gonna go from the edge here to this one. This is this is the 2 foot on center one. And now I might want to put those farther like deeper or farther down away from the thing, but it's hard to tell right now. I mean, I can go ahead and click on this and see. Those are really big numbers. I'm going to have to change the size of those too. So this is just a little bit high, I think. And the nice thing about changing it early on is that all the other ones will snap to that one. So if you catch it early on, then it saves you a little bit of work later on. All right, so we're just going to continue on putting our measurements here for the 2 feet on center boards. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put a measurement for the entire width, just so we have a full size. So a lot of times when you click on a point where there's already a measurement, it will accidentally select the existing measurement. And so you have to be really careful when if you see the existing measurement light up blue, then you know that you are actually moving the other measurement instead of creating a new one. All right, so let's go ahead and create some height ones. So the first thing I'd want to know is I'd like to know the height of these windows. That's going to be something important. And then how far are they up from the ground? So that's a good one. I want to know the height of this door. Let's put the height of this window in here. And again, the height from the door or from the floor. Okay, and then we're going to capture the width of the window with these top measurements. And I'll show you all these measurements combined together when I'm done. All right, so this is the first set that I mentioned that I'm gonna, because we got to know where these top windows go. So this will capture the width and the height of every window, which is obviously very important if you're going to order windows. Then we want to go ahead and capture where this window is as well. So we're going to do a whole nother layer to show you where this window, the other openings are that. So this window and this door. I do this funny thing when I'm doing this. I'm scrolling around, I'm zooming in and out, and I find myself like dodging my head, you know, I'm gonna hit my head if I don't duck my head. It's really, I annoy myself doing this. All right, so let's go back to our scene. All right, now there's a lot of measurements here. We got to get some side measurements here. We got to get some overall measurement heights. So we got to zoom out just a little bit. Well, it's actually all the measurements are captured in here. I can tell these measurements are going to be pretty big on the set of plans. Like this one the text is so big that it's actually, you can't even see it. It's overlapping with the wood. So we need to make this smaller. So let's go up into Window, Model Info, and then we've got this Dimensions button. So we can say Update Selected Dimensions. All right, let's say Font. That font is fine. I don't have a problem with that font. I'm gonna try 8. That might be a little bit small, but point size of 8. And then select all dimensions and then update selected dimensions. And you can see it made all the dimensions quite a bit smaller. So now these dimensions are visible in between. And when I print that out, it'll be, it'll be fine. It'll be visible. All right, so we've got this height, we've got this height, we've got this height. We've got all the heights of where everything's at. We've got all the widths of all the windows, all the doors. We've got where they're located. The one thing that I'm missing is the overall height. So let me go ahead and put this on. Click on this. All right, and then it gives you an overall height of 12 inches for 12.4 inches. So let me just move that over just ever so slightly. Now, this includes, 1.5, so that's 3, so 4.5 inches. So it's actually the studs. When you go to cut the studs, it would be 11 foot, 11.5. So there is some math that has to happen. The more dimensions you put on one thing I noticed, look at this. I put this measurement from the top of the plate, and then this one is from the bottom. I want to be consistent. Here. The only thing is that I do want it from the bottom because I do want the door opening. I think since there is no bottom here, if as long as I align it over here, it makes more sense that it's the fact that it's underneath the kick plate. All right, I feel good about that. So these measurements are on the top of the board to the top of this board. So again, there's some simple measurements or some simple math that may need to be done while someone is constructing in the field. And I do get feedback on our plans like, hey, why isn't this specific dimension given? All the dimensions can be figured out. Again, you just don't want to overflow with too much information. I do actually keep a laptop on the job site. So if there is something that is questionable that I don't feel like doing the math on, I can just take out the tape measure tool and pull it up. But let me go ahead and I think I moved this over a little bit. Let me just refresh the scene. There's no problem with doing that. So you can do it as many times as you want. So if there's any question, if you change anything, refresh the scene. Let me just to demonstrate, let me go ahead and show you just the going back and forth between two different scenes to really show you the value of a scene. So let's go ahead and, can't hide that one because I'm on it right now. So I have my little pencil on the measurement one, and because the pencil is on the measurement one, it won't let me hide it. So let me go ahead and put my pencil next to the untagged. Let me turn off the framing, and let's just turn on everything except for any measurements. All right, and then I'm going to put this into perspective mode. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new scene. Oh, nope, I do not want to update that scene. So let's create a new scene. We're going to call this front left corner. Okay. All right, so we've got this. I click on the front left corner. I'm already on that scene. You can see that I'm here. I click on the front the framing front, and then you can see I go back to that view that we were just at. So this view, something else you want to pay attention to, this view shows up as a tab at the top. So this is an easy way to switch between them too. If you don't want to come over here and switch them as they start to fill up, this makes it pretty easy to switch between them. All right, so this right here, this corresponds to a page on the set of plans. I mean, this is all the information that you need to frame the front of the wall of this house. And so that would be on a set of plans. So what I would do, we use a product called Layout, which comes with SketchUp when you pay for the professional version. And what Layout allows you to do is it allows you to basically design a piece of paper that the plans will be printed on. So you design, you put your logo on it, you put the information that the page number and the name of the page, and then it allows you to put a scene from SketchUp into the layout, into that page. So the nice thing about that is when you want to go and if you change the model, you can open up that layout file that has your 20 pages of plans, and you can say refresh the model, and it will just automatically update all of the images of the house on the plans automatically. So it's a very automated process. So that's really nice. But if you're not paying for the premium version of SketchUp, you can still create plans. It's just a little bit more of a manual process. And so I'll show you how to do that. All right, so once you have your scene loaded up, and by loaded up I just mean clicked on. You're clicked on, and it looks like the way you want it to look. Then you just go up to File, Export, 2D Graphic. It will export a JPEG. Let me just open that up. It opens up a JPEG that is the view. So then this JPEG can just be dropped into a document if you want to. So if we were to go ahead and close this out. If I were to open up something like Word, I've got an empty document here for Word. If I clicked on print, I can say landscape orientation, and then drop this document in here, resize it, size it to take advantage of as much space as I can. But you get the idea. You can use any kind of word editor or any kind of document editor you want. All right, so there you go. You could then, create multiple pages in this document, go ahead and put a little label at the bottom of it. And now you go through that process. You go through that process for all of the walls and all of the sheathing. And next thing you know, you've got a 20-page document that you can now work off to build your house with.